second excerpt from Death and Transfiguration is really interesting because it has a lot of different characters throughout. The beginning is agitato and very nervous, and then it moves into this really lush, high melody, and then the allargando takes us to this really big, grand section with a measured tremolo. So make sure to capture all of those characters in your playing. I've attached below the links to some YouTube videos with the timestamp of when this excerpt starts. Be sure to listen to that as much as you can. You can play along with the recording. That really helps me in preparing excerpts, just so I feel like I'm immersed in the orchestral environment. And it really helps just to hear all of the parts. So at the very beginning, this needs to be a very nervous, agitated, compact stroke, and make sure to feel the impulses of the beats as the 16th note rests. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So ba-da-da, 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 ba-da-da. Play this with a metronome so that you're really, really exact in coming off of the beat. And your stroke should be very compact. It is piano, so it could be a little bit farther towards the fingerboard if you'd like. I use a really tiny bow and also on the string the whole time. It doesn't have to like come off in between the strokes. And just as it comes, so 3, 4, 1. And I do a hard stop at the end of each stroke to really emphasize that the downbeat or the next beat is empty for 1/16th note. So after that, in the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4th measure of this excerpt, I go from 3rd position to 2nd position. So make sure that you really know your half steps throughout this whole thing. So we have half step there and then whole step. High 4 and then a really high 3 half step touching, and then to 2nd position. That C sharp carries through, so that's a half step to D natural, and then your first finger is already there for the next run. And see if you can vibrate on the F sharp. And then here, this says poco a poco stringendo, which means to get gradually a little bit faster. So that sort of adds to that agitato quality. I do 3, 2, 3, 2, 3 down. And when I go down to this 3rd finger C sharp, I lock into 3rd position here with my hand tap against the shoulder. 3, 3, 2, 1. And diminuendo into the end of that slur. And then I shift up to the A string octave so I don't have to do this, but you can if that's comfortable for you and it's accurate. A couple options there. So you could do this. I'd say that's more risky. Shifting down or shifting up, you have more time to shift up there than you do, right? So try this. I do 3, 2, 3, 2 again. And then 3 on this, vibrate a lot. This is a little bit softer, mezzo forte. 2, 2. And then shift down to 4th position. Make sure you're locking into 4th with the palm of your hand. Make sure that you really know these half steps in the scale. I shift up to 1 on the D, and then F sharp here, so it's a big shift. And 1, 2, 3 there are all half steps. So throughout this needs to be a very, very legato slurred bow stroke, pretty close to the bridge as well since we're so high up on the instrument. So make sure that you have a good contact point and never over here, unless it's something really quiet and more mysterious. So after that, make sure that you're counting the rest, da 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 da. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So this measure has some interesting rhythm. It's bum, 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 bum. And then playing it goes. I shift up to third there, just so I'm in the position for the next measure. Okay, and make sure to have a good crescendo throughout this phrase. This is sort of just like a gradual building and can add to that agitato moving forward quality. Okay, next measure is easy. Make sure to keep that bow stroke. But it's in forte now, so it's a little different than, right? So this is maybe a farther away contact point. This one can be a little more direct, closer contact point. Still very, very digital and into the string. And then this can be a little bit more sweeping, the next measure. More bow and really do that hairpin crescendo diminuendo. 1, 1, 1. Really come away from that slur each time. Okay, then it says allargando. So the next two measures are slowing down into the sehr breit, which means very broadly. So just know that these two measures from the need to gradually be getting slower and slower into that quarter note tempo of 78 to 80, which is marked at the top of the page. So I'll start from the allargando. So this will be, the beginning of the measure starts from the original tempo. So that'll be da 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 da. 3, 4, 1. And then you're at that slower tempo, which is about 80. The scale going into that second to last line can be very brushed. The last two beats, that can be really dramatic. And this needs to be very, very broad and grand. It's sort of like a celebration in this part of the piece. And fortissimo, so try to use as much hair as you can, so not super side of the hair. Have a good contact point and big enough bows that it's very dramatic, but not so big that it's losing sound. Right, we don't want that kind of sound. A very, very good sound with the core. This line can be practiced without the measured notes, so just the quarter notes straight. I shift all the way up to 2, so I don't have to shift anymore, but you could shift up to like a 4, 4, 3, and then like replace with a 2, 1 if you wanted to. A good shift to practice sliding. Really practice under a slur, so you're really measuring how far that is. Know that E sharp is the exact same note as F natural, and D sharp is the same note as E flat. So it's just written enharmonically, these notes here. Same notes. This means even broader, so even more ritardando into this B flat. And then here is a perfect fit, so you could practice Twinkle Twinkle. Right? I do an extension 4. And then shift down to a 1. And you can slide down to that as practice, and then you'll eventually remove the slide. So that's just a way to measure how far that shift is, and once you get familiar with that, you remove it. Or rather, you cover up the slide with your bow by not really committing to the bow while you're sliding down. Okay, so then we have poco stringendo for the next two measures, which means to slightly speed up. So this is sort of a temporary speed up before we get into the last line. So this will be on the second finger. Get those pitches in your ear without the measured notes first. And then this syncopated stuff is also interesting. So it'd be 2 notes on the first 8th note and then 4 measured notes for every like note after that. So okay, so we have 2 measures of stringendo, so it speeds up just a little bit, and then poco a poco più calando just means little by little more slowly, so slowing down into the end. So starting from the last line, we have this. Okay, so the sounding point can get a little bit farther out here and really more delicate. It's almost like a heartbeat is like fading away or something. So channel that attitude in this. So the last 2 measures have a very, very interesting rhythm that I'm going to clap. So it's basically just like a written out slowing down. So the syncopations in the first part of the measure are like off by a 16th note, right? And then it's like triplet, and then it's 8th note. So make sure you have your beat going. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it's dun 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 bum 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 ba dum. So the 16th note syncopations need to be very, very like crisp and exaggerate how those feel versus the triplets. And you can subdivide the triplets into bum 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 bum. So if we subdivided, it would sound like bum 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 ba dum. So the triplets need to also sound different from the syncopations at W, and those need to be dum da dum da dum da dum, right? So subdivided 8th notes, and also write in the slash marks for the counts in these 2 measures like I have printed here. So I have my metronome here. I'll put it on 70 to the quarter note, because by this point we're going to be even slower than that 78 to 82 tempo, because it's going to slow down towards the end. So this is 70, and I'm going to start 2 measures before the end of the excerpt. So this is 2, 3, 4, bum 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 bum. So starting from the measure before that, we have da 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 bum 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 bum. Now with metronome, let's do it on the violin. So I'm going to start from 3 measures before the end of the excerpt from the D flat. 3, 4. So that is a very metronomic way of playing it, but it's to be relaxing as you're playing these last couple measures, so it won't push through the end as much as it sounded there with the metronome. But you should practice it with the metronome first, just to get an idea of the relationships and how the rhythm works. And then it's basically just the idea of the rhythms winding down. So if you can just channel that character at the end of this excerpt, then you will be a-okay. Hope this helps, and if you have any questions, comments, inquiries, or would like to work with me, you can contact me at my website, which is nataliegaynor.com, also listed below. You can also ask any questions you have in the comments as well, if you think your question might help another fellow all-stater. I hope you enjoyed this video, and good luck in your preparation.